Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and today I want to film a type of discussion video. And in the last few weeks, and even before that already, but in the last few weeks especially, I have been thinking about this little phenomenon that is, I think, very big on BookTube, and that is hyping something. I have been thinking about this especially in the last few weeks, ever since I started reading Empire of Storms, which is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. And of course, Sarah J Maas is one of the most hyped authors on BookTube. I think she's almost on par with Cassandra Clare or, well, not J.K. Rowling, that's like another level, but she's very, very big on BookTube. I think this is something, hyping books and also movies and TV shows, is something that has only begun in the last few years. I mean, I only noticed it with books ever since I started watching BookTube, which was about, let's say, 2.5 years ago. Before that, I would go to the bookstore and I would notice the new releases or the books that a lot of people bought right now because of the bestseller lists or the tables that were just displaying the most popular books at the moment, but not because of the internet or any such thing. I didn't notice that Twilight was a big deal until the movie came out. I didn't notice that City of Bones was a big deal until I started watching BookTube. And I was practically untouched by hypes. But where I think we can notice the growth of hypes even more than with books is with movies, because I feel like when I was a child and even like early teenage years, we had one, maybe two trailers that came out a couple of months before the movie came into the cinema, and now we have like the promotion for movies starts years before the production starts. And you have like a teaser trailer, then you have another teaser trailer, then you have a normal trailer, then you have an extended trailer, and then some other trailer, and the featurette, and whatever, and it's just so crazy much. And as I said, on BookTube, we very easily start hyping books, I feel. And I feel like that's strange, especially when it comes to debut novels. And of course I know hyping a book, hyping a movie is like a tactic for the publisher to get people to buy this book because they feel like the book is desirable and everybody has read it even though it hasn't even been published yet, and it's so great. And so I can understand it from a publisher side why they would hype a book. But why do we hype book? Why do we as people hype books? And I think there are two different kinds of hypes. One is the hype that I talked about until now, that's kind of started by the publishing house, that continues on BookTube when just everybody starts talking about the book and just everybody starts hyping a book. And that's the kind of hype that I do not like. Does it mean that I do not want a book to be hyped? No, not really. For example, personally, I love hyping Brandon Sanderson's books. I love hyping Anne Bishop's books. And Brandon Sanderson is also kind of part of the first hype, which is like the community hype. But Anne Bishop for me is what I would classify as a personal hype. There isn't exactly a hype around the book itself, but I as a person love the book so much that I need to permanently talk about this book and tell you how amazing and great and good it is. And so I personally hype the book. Do you understand what difference I mean? Of course, like with Brandon Sanderson, sometimes these two can be the same. It happens. But all in all, I'm kind of meh about hyping books because in my experience, hype books very, very rarely live up to the expectations. Out of all the books that I have read, because of the hype, only Brandon Sanderson managed to stand up to the expectation. And even Brandon Sanderson I bought before I knew there was a hype around him and around his Mistborn series, and I had already read a book by him before I noticed that there was a hype around him. And I feel when we start hyping books that we kind of put these books on a pedestal, and the reality is unable to reach that height, that greatness that we say the book has. Of course, for a couple of people, the book will actually be that good, and that's why they hype the book, and that's why they honestly hype the book. But then there are other people who read it because of the hype, like me, and they'll be just like, well, yeah, it's a good book, but I don't understand what the hype is. Examples for me are the Lunar Chronicles, the Wrath of the Dawn, the Shatter Me series. I read all those books and expecting just this amazingly great book, but it just couldn't deliver. And of course it can't deliver. It can't deliver this amazingness that everybody expects to everyone. And that's why I think hypes are something that's ultimately not good. Because I feel like in the end, there tend to be two groups of people. On the one side are the ones who love this book, and because the book is so hyped by those who love the book, you kind of can't just like it, but you have to dislike it on the other hand. And I noticed for myself, for example, with the Lunar Chronicles and with the Shatter Me series, and maybe that's just something that I personally do and that I personally have to deal with, but I think maybe a couple of people can relate to that. When a book is really hyped and I just like it, then I try to find reasons why I just liked it and why I didn't love it. And of course those are like the negative things about the book. And I end up concentrating on those negative things because I feel like I have to justify myself to others, to those people who hype the book so much, that I end up kind of in my mind, even though I enjoyed the book while reading it, when I look back, I dislike it. And I don't think that should be the case. I think that's something that's kind of destroying the reading experience in itself. And I think one reason for that is also that with hype books come crazy fans. And you feel like you have to justify yourself in front of those crazy fans because those will be the ones who will hate you if you don't love the book as much as they do. Which I also don't understand, because if I recommend a book or if I really love the book and if I talk to somebody and they say, well, yeah, maybe I liked the book and it was okay, or they even say, no, actually they disliked the book, it wasn't for them, I don't get angry, I get sad, because I want them to have as amazing of a reading experience as I had, and if they couldn't have that, then I'm sad for them and I'm sad for myself. Something else that I feel comes with hyping a book, which I try not to do too much on my channel, although I feel like I kind of slip into this with Anne Bishop sometimes, is the people that say this is the best book ever and it's like a masterwork and oh my god, and just pure greatness. And I don't think that that's any book. I don't think that there is a best book ever. I feel like for me, of course, the best authors, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, are Anne Bishop and Brandon Sanderson. Both of them write beautifully, both of them have great world building, great characters, and have everything, in my opinion, that makes a book great. But at the same time, there will be people who hate these authors, who just hate the way they write, they hate the characters, and I might not understand why they hate them, but I feel like I still have to accept their opinion, and within a hype, that's not often the case. a hype leads to a very one-sided opinion, I feel, because a lot of the times those people who do not feel the hype justified, like, they feel like they can't really speak out. They feel, I think sometimes, like their opinion is not valid because they might be in a minority. And I feel ultimately hyping books can lead to a divide in the book community. As you see, for example, with Sarah J Maas books. There are a lot of people in one camp who say she is just an amazing author, and in the other camp who feel like she's just like really not that great. And the negative opinion is often, like I said earlier, it's encouraged by the hype. Like people who would otherwise say just, well, I really don't care about her, actively argue against her to counteract the hype. And I'm actually kind of now wandering from one camp in the other with the Throne of Glass series right now. I still enjoy the books, but I feel like I can understand both sides a bit better right now after I read the last book. I feel like this video was a bit rambly, but just to sum it up, I don't think that the direction hyping books is taking is a good one. Of course, we should still recommend books, because that's why we're in this amazing book YouTube, book internet community, to get recommendations and to tell others about the books that we love. But recommending books, I feel, is a little more thinking about why we think a book is good and why a certain person might enjoy a book. Because that's also something that I always try to think about. There are books I love, but when I recommend a book to friends, I wouldn't recommend a book that I don't feel fits them. I have a lot of books I love that at the same time I just recommend to certain friends, which of course is not possible on the BookTube community because we're not talking to specific people but to a community as a whole. But we can still explain for who we think the book might be interesting and who might be interested in this book. And sometimes there are those rare books, like for example Brandon Sanderson, who I think everybody can enjoy, not will, but can enjoy. And hype doesn't differentiate. And I think that's important. That's ultimately important because we're all different people and we all enjoy different books. And hype ignores that. And so that's why I think personally hyping or recommending a book is okay, but I feel like we should hype books a bit less in the community. And that's why I try not to partake in hypes as such. Of course, when Lady Midnight came out and there was this huge hype around it and I had my review, I still loved it. And I told you in my review that I loved this book. But that's me. I love this book. I don't think everybody will, and I don't think everybody should. Because once there's a book that everybody loves and everybody enjoys, I think then societal norms will have won. And that will mean that everybody is different. And so that's basically what I wanted to say in this video. It's, I guess, not really a discussion video, but just stuff that I thought about for the last couple of weeks and that I wanted to tell you about. If you have your own thoughts about hypes and about hyping books and how you deal with a hype, please tell me in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of me, you're welcome to subscribe. I would be very grateful, and all the links to my social media are in the description box down below, so you can also go and check those out. And I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!